What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for hardware malfunction on Malf Warfare. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Mal Warfare is the map where we have to escort Orana's transport as it purifies security terminals from a rogue AI. We win the game if she purifies all 5 terminals, but we lose if the enemies or suppression towers destroy the transport. Kill bots spawn from enemy buildings. They cannot be damaged and only despawn upon hitting a kill quota. A laser drill in the enemy base will shoot at your things. Widow mines and spider mines deployed on the map deal 250 damage each and must be destroyed.
Alright, so we have Twotuuu and Sticksbender in the call with us today. How are you guys?
Good.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
I'm actually good myself. Like I just had dinner, but you know. Let's start. Twotuuu, how will we rank the commanders this week?
So each of the mutators is annoying. So
Yes.
commanders that can deal with the mutators, and then there's the last thing, the objective. Commanders
Yes.
that can deal with all 4 of them will be fine. The main mutator will be Killbots. Second is Minesweeper. The laser is kind of there, and the mines provide vision to the mines, and the Killbots provide vision to the laser. So it's
Yes.
really, really one of the worst mutations ever.
Well, I wouldn't say one of the worst. There are always those just that polarity ones. But how about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, this mutation is mean.
Very mean.
So because it's a long map, which you can't destroy all enemy structures because the enemy has invulnerable structures for the killbots to spawn from, you have to deal with the killbots for the whole duration. It's a long map, and so basically, even if you have both players feeding workers, it is just barely possible to feed workers to the killbots and not just die because the workers were too expensive. Which workers at 50 minerals are the cheapest thing that a lot of commanders have. Most people who just aren't Zerg, that's
Yes.
basically going to outlaw you from being able to handle killbots at all without a Zerg. You can do it, but basically you're just going to suffer if you don't have a Zerg. As long as you have one, though, it shouldn't be too impossible. It's just going to basically require team coordination between the guy who's actually doing the mission and the Zerg who's feeding the
Zerg who's
killbots.
feeding. Well, what if we have both under one commander? I considered it similar to how Twotuuu did. I considered that there are 4 jobs in this week's mutation. If you can do all 4, you're A. If you can excel in all 4, you're S. If you can do 3, you're B. If you can do 2, you're C. If you can do 1, you're D. If you can't do any, you are E. So, yeah, the 4 jobs, of course. Main objective, despite feeding killbots, the killbots themselves, laser drill, and Minesweeper. Of course, it's probably gonna be mobile. The jobs aren't equal important, so there will be differences in how they are weighted. Let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur is a Zerg. Unfortunately, he doesn't have Zerglings, so his method of feeding is evolution chambers and creep tumors from queens. He's actually pretty bad against Minesweeper, because normally what you can do against Minesweeper is if you see the outlines, you can dump toxic nests on top of them and then kill them. But with laser drill, that's not possible.
Yes.
So Abathur can't get a quick brutalist if your mine RNG is bad, and then even after that, you need like a few swarm hosts or something to clear mines. So I'm not even sure what later on, like after, if you manage to get brutalists and you can actually make evolution chambers to start feeding, you'll be doing okay. You still need some sort of like
You still can't walk your brutalists
army.
into mines.
Yes. I put him in C.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Again, in the situation of killbots, Abathur is a disappointment of a Zerg. Yeah. Yeah, feeding with evolution chambers, I mean, it's a thing, but and swarm hosts don't automatically spit locusts out when they see killbots because the killbots are not targetable. So yeah, no, is C. He's gonna
Alright.
have a bit of a painful time.
I also had him in C because he's
He-
good at clearing the map and minesweeping once you have stuff set up to clear them. I also give him partial points for being able to shrug off the laser drill. That's why he ends up being in C for me. Prestige-wise, any prestige is gonna be right around C, unless you use the third prestige. You probably lower if you use the third prestige or the first prestige. Actually, how does the first prestige fare here?
Probably would get swarm host right away then, and
Yes.
you won't do anything in the beginning.
Yeah,
You
you're pretty
can't
much
do
getting
anything.
carried in the beginning. So yeah, you probably still want to use no prestige or the second prestige and try to get a fast Brutalisk, despite the laser drill being really annoying. So yes, I think it's a unanimous C. Let's move on. Alarak, where do we have him?
not Zerg. So already suffering horribly.
Yes.
However, he also what he does have is good minesweeping, kind of, because he does get to have a sentry, like a detector off of gateway. Detector off gateway is good, and he can already get, that means 8 range off of cybernetics core. He can get 8 range and detection
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
That means he comfortably outranges mines. Outranging mines by at least 2 is very helpful because at 1 range more than mines, sometimes your unit AI decides to just
wander
be
in.
stupid
Yes.
and wander in, especially with the spider mines, because the spider mines have much lower aggro than the widow mines, so they'll just ignore the spider mine and shoot widow mines and walk into the spider mine
Yes.
and explode.
Yes.
And one spider mine that they walk into will kill your entire army because it's 250 flat damage over the whole area for
Yes.
some reason. So having 8 range and detection early on makes Alarak really good for early mine clearing.
All right.
And later on, he will kind of scale in terms of just clearing basically everything except the killbots because of Ascendance. Unfortunately, when killbots aggro on something, they're really insistent on shooting that thing until they so killbots are a bit weird. Once they aggro on a single unit, they'll be really insistent on shooting that unit once. And then once they've shot it once, they will randomly pick a unit within range to re-aggro onto.
Yeah.
But until they've shot it once, those killbots will just see your Ascendance and say, I will literally follow you to the ends of the frickin' earth.
To shoot you
I
once.
will find your Ascendant.
And shoot you exactly once.
But the problem is, once it shoots it once, unless your killbot feeder is there to distract the killbot after that,
It'll get shot again.
now you're going to have your Ascendants getting hit by killbots, and that's bad.
All right. Letter.
So, I feel like he can be B. He has some really strong things going for him, but at the end of the day, killbots are just gonna be so nasty.
All right. How about you, Twotuuu?
Since he has like nothing against he has pretty much nothing against killbots. He can't. I can't put him higher than a Zerg. So, that thing's just, and if he keeps getting shot by killbots, like Alarak gets shot by killbots, he's gonna keep eating his army, and the laser will also be focused on him at the same time. So he's gonna really keep eating his army throughout the whole time until the killbots are fed, and that. If that happens too many times, you're gonna lose a big chunk of your army.
Or the transport.
Yeah, I put him in D.
Ooh, that's
He
pretty
can clear
bad.
he helps with mines, but it costs a lot of money to not die to laser plus killbots.
For me, I have marks on him for 2 jobs, minesweeping and the map itself. So that's a C for me. So do we average him to C?
I actually kind of can see D because the biggest thing that I forgot about that caused me to put it in B is just subconscious assumption of lots of Alarak micro, because if Alarak gets aggroed by the killbots, if the kill bots shoot Alarak and then Alarak eats his army, that doesn't count as kills for the kill bot. So the kill bot will just keep shooting him forever
Yes.
until he dies, and then they'll have one kill and you have lost everything.
So D?
Also, yes, the laser drill's damage ramps up over time, so it's actually very important to be dancing Alarak back and forth
Yes.
in order to break the laser drill.
In and out of vision.
So
Maybe a war prism would help if you load and unload him.
yes, that would actually work and be a good idea.
But micro-intensive.
Basically, either way, the point is, I kind of just like, without thinking about it, neglected the problem of laser drill on Alarak
Laser drill,
because
yeah.
I'm so used to microing him against the laser drill that I just assumed, yeah, Alarak's great against laser drill. He has plenty of supplicants that'll tank for him. No, he's gonna get hit first, and if you don't micro him properly, that's going to be bad.
And you won't even have
Okay.
supplicants because he has to feed the kill bots, which you can't.
Okay, so well, no, he like I'm basically just assuming it's like you have designated yourself to I am the guy who clears the map. I'm good at killing mines. I'm good at
Alright.
clearing the map. As long as some other guy feeds the kill bots, we got a good team going on here.
All right, so I think we can settle on
But
D.
I guess laser drill is not that good, so yeah. we can
All right,
put down
D. Let's put him in D. Arcturus, where do we have him? By the way, for prestige,
D.
we still recommend Shadow of Death
Oh.
if you wanted to go for Alarak. How about Arcturus?
He can kind of clear mines. He feeds decently against killbots. Unfortunately, what happens in this mutation in general is like if the laser drill kills your unit before the killbot does, then it doesn't count as a kill for the killbot.
Yes.
And if that happens enough times, you might lose 6-7 units to feed a 5-kill killbot. And
Something like that.
if that happens
That's very
many
cost
times
inefficient.
throughout the mutation, it's gonna cost a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
His Minesweeping is okay. He can clear a lot of stuff from home because of
Or
ESOs.
splitters, yes.
For the mutation itself, he can get an army kind
Good.
of, but you're gonna be really poor because you're making
Yes.
ESOs and feeding.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a C or D.
Okay. How about you, Sticksbender?
So, yeah, he has 40 mineral dudes, so he can technically kind of help feed killbots, but even then, he can't solo feed the killbots for the entire thing, so it's not going to work out so great if he's feeding. What he can do is he can kind of incapacitate the laser drill, because if you can get a bunker set up somewhere where the bunker is in vision of one of Amon's structures, and then you don't kill that structure, what'll happen is the laser drill, once it targets onto something, won't retarget unless it loses vision of that thing. Just, that's it.
If a killbot
So-
spawns that, though.
Yes, that's the unfortunate inconvenience there. So, but as long as a killbot didn't spawn there, basically, if you get lucky and a killbot doesn't spawn there, 2 dudes repairing a bunker will out-heal laser drill damage if you have the bunker health upgrade. You'll need 3 dudes if you don't have the health upgrade just yet.
Okay. So letter.
He's terrible at clearing mines. He's not
I
gonna
would say
really feed
terrible
killbots.
clear
D.
mines. D?
No, the only realistic way you have of clearing mines is setting up ESOs, and that's gonna be so slow. Like, what are you gonna do if there's a minefield between the main base and the first terminal? Arana's going to have exploded before you even get to like,
That's true.
okay, second terminal, first terminal, whichever you call it. The
That's
point
true.
is, the one like she could just go right down the ramp and blow up, and you
All right.
have nothing but ESOs to clear those mines, and that's slow.
Sure.
in early
Do you two agree on D then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I actually had him in B because I thought he was pretty good at clearing mines and the map itself. So that's also he can shrug off the laser drill kind of, as long as you don't feed too much. But the guy decided it's D, so it's D. Prestige wise, probably won't matter since it's D, but you should probably use not Toxic Tyrant, Merchant of Death if you want to go for Arcturus. Artanis, where do we have him?
I'd
I
actually
think you
probably
should use
use
P1.
Really?
Oh.
Toxic Tyrant?
I would use
Toxic
P2.
Tyrant.
Oh, second. Okay, so all right.
I would.
There's a dispute? there's a
Fair.
dispute on the prestige choice for Arcturus, so the advice is he's D, don't use him. If you still want to use him, you're on your own. There you go. Artanis.
I honestly would have recommended P2 on Alarak as you shoved in the P3 comment right at the end there, but whatever.
All right. So yeah, use whatever you like on Alarak. How about Artanis?
Artanis. So, yeah.
You need P3.
Again, good news. We can clear mines.
Hey.
Yeah, that's cool. To be honest, in most cases against killbots, Guardian Shell is going to be making your life so much worse because it's going to mean the killbot gets to get some extra free shots on some healthy dudes before coming back to the units that it was supposed to get the kill on earlier.
It also shoot transport.
Yes. Although that shouldn't really be a problem if you have the giant blob of units hugging it. The other thing that helps make it not really a problem is if the person feeding the killbots is feeding with a unit that is immune to Guardian Shell, which some commanders will want to do that anyways, so then it just kind of works out. So then you could have Guardian Shell to make it so that things aren't dying to laser drill and mines as much outside of those feeding units, but then it won't apply to the feeding units. So it's basically just kind of a thing of good news. Guardian Shell won't make you F with these specific commanders.
Otherwise, he is F. But you wouldn't use a third prestige though, so you don't have Guardian Shell.
Yes.
Where does that land you?
Okay mine clearing.
Okay mine clearing.
Pretty okay against the drill.
And the map itself.
Very strong synergy with the units that like the killbot clearing units naturally are units that are going to synergize really strong with a shield overcharge. So you could just take those killbot clearing units and say, I put shield overcharge on them. Now they can just clear this entire base and none of them die. And then they can go back to dying to killbots.
Unless you walk into a stray mine.
Even a mine, it takes 2 mines to kill them at that point.
Oh,
the shield overcharge shield is 380 health and the mines only do 250 damage.
Are there
shield overcharge is crazy.
Are there fewer than 2 mines in the cluster?
No.
There you go. Anyway, letter.
Yeah. You still kind of D. There's no real reason to want him here.
How about you,
like
Twotuuu?
D is basically there's no real reason to want this guy in particular.
Yes.
Here.
How about you, Twotuuu?
I put him in E, but I don't have a strong reason why he's E. Just like if you have Guardian Shell, I thought he would be the usual F, but I don't think it's that bad actually.
Not that bad.
His clearing, yeah, he's just meh everywhere.
Meh.
He's also not very good at the mission with all these things him hampering his economy. Yes. I don't think he's going to be very good at the mission either. It's going to be hard to build up an army, so that's why I think I would put him in E for now.
I personally had him in C because I think he has pretty decent minesweeping and can kind of shrug the laser, but yeah, everything else is kind of But can we compromise to D then?
That's fine.
All right, let's put him in D.
He feels about the same as Alarak in terms of minesweeping and laser drill and all that. Like it feels about the same.
Yeah, it's just pretty okay. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Dehaka, he's a Zerg, but he also not really good at feeding. Except he has a way to make 3 units. Yeah, he has a way to make 3 units, but it's not like great.
Ironically,
his mine clearing is good. It's surprisingly good actually, except the early on, but later on in like later areas, you just have greater primal worm plus pack leader, and then even if you eat mine, you still will live through it and then continue clearing the rest. Yeah, so you're probably just gonna use top bar for the mines and map, and then you use all your money for Zerglings, maybe some creeper hosts to like feed locusts once in a while.
All right, letter.
I put him in C.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Wait, how did that end up in C with all that? So you can't
feed forever. He can't feed forever.
No, he cannot feed kill bots. And he's not great against mines, I didn't think. He's bad against mines. He's bad against killbots. He's really bad against laser drill. He can't use his hero unit early on. IS pack leaders are good, so you'll be able to do some kind of top bar stuff. But the thing is, like, the deal kind of was, if you're useless against the killbots, then you better be prepared to like be pretty much solo carrying the rest of the mission while your ally is just doing killbots. And Dehaka, well, if your only plan is pack leaders and eventually I'll have units that will hopefully not get aggroed by the laser drill or hit a minefield, my detection is pretty mediocre. Dehaka as a detector is not happening anytime soon because he can't, farm essence with the laser drilling a thing that exists.
Primal Worm?
I would have thought he was E.
Really? I thought he has pretty
No
good
way.
mine sweeping. He has Primal Worms, which are immune to mines.
One, Doc Run kills the laser.
Does he actually manage to get the laser drill dead?
Yes.
Apparently.
Because
Okay.
if the laser drill shoots Doc Run, it reflects back and the laser drill dies.
If it actually dies, that's the big deal.
It will die for at least whatever. It'll be down for a few minutes.
Timer. Yeah.
Then his mine clearing, like you can't farm, but with P2, you don't really care about Dehaka's level that much.
Yes,
Like,
this is true.
So early on, it's the early on, like any close mines, he might not be very good at clearing, and he can't farm essence early. But once you get like your 3 pack leaders online, you can just summon them wherever, especially places you have seen before, and then just clear that whole area. He's not that bad against Minesweeper.
I guess I could see. Well, the reason I'm concerned about the problem of Minesweeper is that basically, if you are expected to be like handling the objective pretty much completely, that means that your pack leaders basically always have to either be at the objective defending it or clearing forward for the objective. And that means you're going to need to make sure you have detection coming with those pack leaders, which you don't have a mobile detector, you only have worms. So you're going to need to put a lot of your money into worms. You're going to need to constantly tunneling those worms to keep up with the pack leaders in order to detect mines as we're pushing forward. You can't let the pack leader die, which is technically possible if they hit too many mines, because the mines do so much
250
damage if you eat the whole minefield.
They can.
Yeah. And like we're having to do this. Well, basically this is like saying learn to top bar solo. The fact that Dekron actually kills the laser drill, however, is a big deal. So I guess I can see him being in. I still feel like he's D because it still feels like you're kind of like having to learn to top bar solo with supporting static defense that only serves as your improvised pseudo mobile detection to help you clear mines. And I also think that the problem of and then the main objective went down the main base ramp and died being a possibility does
true,
suck.
That's true for anyone though.
Well, not as much for like, especially Alarak can get detection out so early. So
yeah, overcharge.
Like if you don't have invisibility, your Havoc won't get shot by the laser.
Yeah, you would have to actually make sure that you're like letting one of the stalkers be in aggro. I think do the mines actually have 8 vision radius while burrowed? Because remember that mines have reduced vision radius while burrowed actually, and I believe that applies to the mines here. I'm not sure if your stalkers and havocs are in or out of the vision radius of mines or out of laser drill when hitting the mines. I'm not familiar enough with the specific interaction of laser drill plus mines. You would have to make sure though that if it is in the vision radius of the laser drill, make sure the havoc is behind the stalkers because the stalkers get hit.
And with the Dehaka though, it's just like his pack leaders are technically free units, and like if a killbot's at Orana, then you just kind of like he can take some hits and still fight the enemies that are there.
Yes.
It's all a bit of
can't do
time.
that. What army were you recommending to get eventually again? Creeper hosts, right?
I don't know what army to get actually. It's just I would get primal host to like manually feed some bots, but that's about it. And maybe you can have creeper hosts at your natural and just like send them forward and slowly clear stuff.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking Guardians would be pretty good at straight up clearing too with worm support for detection.
They would be. That's probably a good idea, to be
Could
honest.
have a few guardians to do that, yeah.
The only catch with that is that Guardians are quite fragile, so if a single kill bot gets on top of them, they could just evaporate like that.
They're pretty fast though.
They are reasonably fast. That is
You
true.
just fly away.
But you just leave one to die and then fly the rest away.
And then you use all that speed to accidentally fly into a minefield, and they all blow up anyways, and you cry.
Well, I would do that. I wouldn't say that. Good place. I would do that.
Yes. It would be unfortunate, but anyway, that's besides the point.
I don't think he's as bad as D. I can see him being better than the guys in D. Maybe C.
That's why I put him in C.
I don't know that he's.
I mean,
he does feel closer to Abathur than to them, so
yeah.
I guess C makes sense.
I actually had him in B, by the way. But yeah, I'm okay with C. All right, let's move on.
I feel like Abathur ended up in C because of evolution chambers, basically.
Evolution chambers? Well, he can also clear with swarm hosts. He can also aggro the laser drill with swarm hosts.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, no. Abathur on second thought, no. Abathur's just way better than Dehaka. Never mind. Yeah.
Really? Way better than Dehaka?
I'm not convinced on Dehaka.
Really?
I am really not convinced.
So you're saying Dehaka is D, the same level as Alarak, Arcturus, and Dehaka because he can't feed?
Well, it is partially the can't feed, but also the fact that because his early mine clearing is bad, his early laser drill handling is bad, like basically his early game is going to just be bad even if we ignore killbots and say that your ally is handling that. Early game is going to be bad for Dehaka. And once you do have all your all three pack leaders, so you're just rotating between them, it still feels like it's going to be kind of like a bit like mechanically and map knowledge demanding to be able to handle essentially, like, I'm basically assuming that the person who's not feeding killbots is essentially soloing the rest of the mission with minimal help. Not no help, but minimal help. And that minimal help is not enough, I feel like, to make it so that I feel comfortable saying, oh yeah, you could totally just be able to handle everything with just pack leaders. You don't need to have, the map knowledge and awareness to be able to make sure the pack leaders are always in the right place on a map where you're getting attacked from multiple fronts and have to go out to kill the suppression towers and have to clear mines at some point.
Speaking of suppression towers, Twotuuu, what do you use to clear the suppression towers?
What do you use for Dehaka?
Yeah, for Dehaka.
You can just use primal worms, or like whatever units you have. You just hit it. Or like if you have the Mervar does lots of DPS.
Oh yes, Mervar does do a lot of DPS.
Very DPS.
But wouldn't you rather have Mervar clearing mines, or can you have some other pack leader do that some other time?
Glevig is the best at clearing mines, and Dekron is the best at killing the laser drill, which is a big deal.
Kills mines really well because of the blinding cloud effect.
Oh yes, disabling cloud. Yes, it's pretty good.
Disabling cloud. So you basically you summon a greater primal worm, then you summon Mervar.
I think
you push forward a little and you deep tunnel that primal worm a little forward.
Yeah, I think it does just barrel through the map. I don't think it's that difficult for Dehaka. Dehaka is one of the strongest ones in regular brutal. You don't have to run around so much. You usually just have to stand near the transport, and the enemies come to you. Aside from the ones at the suppression towers.
My concern is that like the time between when you get like the time when like the game tells you to like go start clearing ahead is not that long. And for Minesweeper specifically, with that slowing you down, it could cause serious problems. But
I don't see how that
guess
would be different than others.
the difference is mobile detection, basically.
Dehaka
But
can.
your greater primal worm cooldown so short.
It's a minute, which is like the entire time you have to clear forward. Oh wait, no, the greater primal worm cooldown. You're saying?
Plus, you still have
Yeah,
regular
I'm
primal
not familiar
worms.
with that. I know the deep tunnel cooldown on worms is a minute. I don't know what the greater primal worm cooldown is, but I thought it was longer than
it's
a
like
minute.
48 seconds
Only-
with full mastery on it. 48 seconds for
Okay.
one.
I think we
Doesn't
can.
that mean though that isn't the how are his masteries organized? I thought it was you pick between the mastery to reduce that cooldown or the mastery to increase pack leader duration, and you definitely need pack leader duration if we're doing P2.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. I don't usually.
No, you don't.
Yeah, when you
It's
have second
always
prestige.
greater primal worm.
Yeah. On the second prestige, you can have pretty much one pack leader active at any time. So I don't usually.
The only way you can have 100% uptime on pack leaders, or well, near 100%, is with pack leader duration mastery.
But you don't
If
need
you
100%.
You have to live with using Dehaka instead, which I guess works. Yeah, I guess if the pack leader collects enough essence for Dehaka, then when Dehaka pops out later, he's like, "Look at all this essence the pack leader's picked up for me. I'm actually useful now."
Yes.
Okay. You can still only hold 3 charges of primal worm, which means you basically are going to get 4 worms to clear the entire distance between terminals.
So add like couple of regular primal worms. You're gonna be floating mineral. Oh no, you won't because you'll be feeding. But you can also.
Yeah, well,
I mean, if you're not
it'll be
soloing, you also have an ally with some kind of detection. So it's like,
yeah.
if the problem is mobile detection, you're not the only one who has it.
Yeah. Basically, my thought process was he does have distinct advantages over the people in D tier, but he also has distinct disadvantages when compared to some of them. So that's why I was putting him in D tier.
So you think he's?
But I could see him in C. I suppose.
How about bottom of C?
He also feels comfortably worse than Abathur, but I mean he's
Oh yeah,
comfortably
he's not
better
as good as
than
Abathur,
so.
but he's better than the D guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, okay, we can see.
All right, there we go. Phoenix, where do we have him?
I'm trying to think of a good news for Phoenix here. It's a little tricky here.
Observers are
so,
cheaper.
Observers are yeah.
With the second prestige.
Are you using the second prestige?
I did. Past tense,
Caldelis will
I did.
be exploding a lot.
I used Warbringer
fine, I guess.
to primarily clear.
Warbringer is a good way to clear mines. I mean, yeah, throwing champions at it repeatedly is not terrible.
No, it is. It is. I'm just saying. That's what I did. It is terrible.
Okay, it's not that terrible compared to. Well, okay.
It is terrible.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of. It's gonna be a lot of micro to make it not terrible. Never mind. Yeah,
that was with a mutator gone.
That was with a mutator gone.
Well, no. Again, we're assuming he's good. He's not handling the kill bots, although he can help feed the kill bots. But unless you're talking about laser drill was gone.
I did feed a lot in my game. I was the feeder guy.
Oh, you were the feeder.
I was stalling the drill for the whole game.
And I was feeding.
If you
were also stalling the kill bots.
Who was feeding? Phoenix cannot realistically feed. He is in fact not a Zerg.
Not a Zerg.
He's not a Zerg. So, if you are not the one who is feeding, and you just have to handle laser drill and mines, and you're just throwing P2 champions at the problem, as long as you make only the ones you actually want, so basically Warbringer, Kaldalis, and Talus, and that's it shouldn't be that bad. But it will be a bit tricky. You have to manage your big shell farm. And I mean, if the killbots find the shell farm,
How does he
they're not
compare
that
to?
expensive, but they're not that cheap either.
How does he compare to Alarak, Arcturus, Artanis? Is he on the level? Is he clearly better? Is he clearly worse?
I'd say he's probably able to compare with the. Yeah, I'd say he's around on the level. I'd also note that for early mine clearing purposes, the Arbiter suit can both be a detector and cloak your Kaldalis, so your Kaldalis can actually punch mines. Hooray!
Nice.
That'll help with very early game if you decide not to go for Robo Warbringer first, but you should probably just get Warbringer first. You can skip straight to Robo. You are a Phoenix.
All right.
So you could just get a Colossus and an Observer and start punching mines.
I started Observer first because you need to get the Warbringer AI. But anyway, Twotuuu, how about you?
Yes.
Oh, so what was the letter?
D.
I said he was probably D.
D. His 10 mineral, 30 gas observers are actually really, really cheap. So if you have like 10 robos pumping out just that, you can feed quite a lot.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Quite a lot.
You can feed quite a lot. But the fact that he's able to distribute basically his gas and his minerals to feeding, because they're like entirely gas, and he can spend entirely minerals on his probes, so then you can kind of feed, but like it's not a good idea compared to the Circumiters.
All right, continue.
So the thing with Phoenix compared to like the sea level is that, well, I think if you play well, he would be at the sea level. It's really hard to control all his different units.
Yes, it is. Oh my goodness!
Like you need one key for Warbringer, then you need a key for the other ones, and then you need a key for the Phoenix suit, and you don't want to put them together because they have different jobs.
And you want
you have to put them separately.
Control group for the Observer Robo, and you want a separate control group for your other Robos.
I mean, if you're not the main feeding guy, you're not going to need to go back to your Observer Robo just so much.
Especially, well, I was queuing them like 20 at a time, so I can have a little time to go back. But it was
and if you are the guy who's feeding killbots, we're kind of like hoping that your ally is going to be someone who's making it so that you don't really have to focus on anything except feeding killbots 90% of the time.
Yes. Anyway,
I'll put him in D.
All right, unanimous. There we go.
Difficulty.
Yeah, we're unanimous D. Don't worry, we're all good. Second prestige.
We came to the same conclusion.
Yeah, second prestige. All right, let's move on. Hot and Horner, where do we have them?
Hot and Horner, strike fighters are good at clearing stuff.
Yes.
Reapers are good at feeding bots. However, well, if you clear all the mines, they're actually not that. You could sit at the objective and help out quite a lot.
Yes.
I think.
Also, producing mag mines can feed. Like
producing mag
deploying.
Well, yeah. If you know where if you can like use a Raven or something, spot the mines, or if you can see the spots on the ground, you can kind of like
blindly
use your strike fighters and just pick them off.
Yes.
I think they could be in C.
Okay. How about you, Sticksbender?
I even thought higher than that. I thought they could be maybe B.
I did have them in B, by the way.
So you start with your Raven production structure, and Galleons. Remember we said we wanted to preferably have more than 6 range. Though 6 range is enough. Galleons have 10.
Yes.
That's a bit more than 6.
That's more than 6.
That's quite a bit more than 6.
Quick maths, guys.
So your early Galleons plus an early Raven from the starport that you start the game with, you can clear early mines quite well. Once you get your army ball rolling, Reapers can just sit at the objective, and if killbots show up, oh no, I've been greatly inconvenienced, but like you can actually feed stray killbots that end up at the objective quite easily with your army. Having an army that itself can be used to feed like killbots that get missed basically because they didn't conveniently walk into your ally is quite good. And yeah, strike fighters can clear out mines for you once you get your strike fighters up. They can also be used to clear out, like you can clear if you want to try and like control which side the
The
killbots are
killbots
coming
spawn
from. You
from.
can blow up structures in
Yes.
areas where you don't want the bots coming from without having yet cleared that area,
Yes.
which is great. As you said, mag mines, if you just drop a mag mine on top of a killbot, a mag mine set on top of a killbot, if you don't have P1, then the killbot will be able to shoot down the mag mines to get 5 kills for a
5.
single top bar charge.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Really good, actually.
So I would put Han and Horner in B probably, honestly.
Yeah, same. For me, what solidifies Hot and Horner in B is not only can he feed for cheap, he can also make his ally feed for extremely cheap because of their salvage.
Exactly, you make your allies feeding cheaper too.
Yeah, that's what solidifies him in B for me. What do you think, Tutu?
All right. Yeah.
All right.
I would use. I don't know. Then you would use P0, right? Because you would not use P2.
Yeah, no,
No
you
way.
want Reapers, so
Yeah.
you'd probably use P2 then. Or 0, P0.
No prestige. All right. Hot and Horner in B. There we go. Best one so far. What do you think?
Yeah. What a weird world. We've gotten to Han and Horner, and so far they're an entire tier above
Everyone
everybody.
else.
That's not normal. They're supposed to be the one who's below everybody else. If Han and Horner is B tier, it's because everyone else is A and S tier.
Let's move on. Karax, where do we have him?
Karax can't feed. The alternative job to feeding is clearing. I mean, cannon pushing is great and all for killing mines, and sure, your cannons take a long time for the laser drill to kill, so it's like the mutators aren't that bad, but it's time crunch cannon clearing, which if you are, you know, an OG Karax player who remembers the days when time crunch cannon clearing was all Karax had to work with back before they buffed his top bar and made his units actually usable and just all he had was the cannon. If you remember those days and you know how to play that, you're going to be fine for clearing, to be honest, because
All you can do.
he has the tools to handle everything except killbots, those tools being cannons. However, it is kind of like a skill you need to have because it's quite different from other commanders. And if killbots show up, your best defense against that is just having so many extra probes.
Actually, your
Just
best
like
defense.
your army is probes and cannons.
Your best
and
defense.
You have a bunch of probes.
Your best defense against killbots is using P1, ironically. So you just won't get unity barrier. So you can not be a detriment to feeding.
Yeah. And hey, we're literally cannon clearing in P1. Part of P1 is also P1 increases the speed of repair beam on your structures.
Yes.
So that now it'll take the laser drill even longer to actually be able to even kill a cannon.
Might as well,
So
right?
that's cool.
So letter.
So if you know how to use P1 to clear, he's got okay clearing. He cannot feed. That would put him. He's D, potentially C, but I think he's, well, I kind of feel like I'd put him in C almost, but he's probably only D.
What do you think, Tutu?
He can't feed at all. Like if you're spending money on cannons, you have nothing on probes. So it's like
you cannot.
You're gonna feed. So if you don't have extra probes lying around and a killbot comes and your ally's not responsive, you're just gonna lose your entire whatever you have built just to feed a killbot, which is like instead of 50 per, it's 100 to 150 per.
Yeah,
so,
you need to have the extra probes to feed it. So
Oh,
you're not going to have that much money for cannons.
Oh yes.
I don't know. I think that I put him in E. I would say he's worse than
the D guys.
The others.
Yes, I do have him in D, but like he's one of 2 in D, so he's definitely worse than the current guys in D. Because again, Unity Barrier, you're pretty much confined to using the first prestige. And when you're in the first prestige, you don't really
Well,
support.
no, Unity Barrier is not Guardian Shell. Unity Barrier is one hit at the beginning of the unit's health bar.
That's true.
Whereas
But it was still.
it's very different from 5 seconds right when the unit was supposed to die.
That's true. So, are you gonna make an argument for C or D?
I think D is probably more realistic. I think that his ability to handle mines and laser drill is really helpful.
Okay. Are you okay
But
with D
Can
to
you
two?
handle the drill?
I mean, better. Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
say.
If you use P1 and you move forward and like
The-
you don't have a cannon or something ready, or you don't have a backup probe,
You're gonna
you
lose the
get
probe.
vision.
Yeah, well,
the-
we
you
just
don't have Unity
established you need to
Barrier.
have not just one backup probe, but enough backup probes to feed a kill bot if it shows up. So
Yikes. That sounds too
yeah,
expensive, to be honest. You can't do
it's
both.
kind of expensive. Yeah,
You're either feeding or clearing. You can't do both.
no, you can do both because cannons are actually really cost efficient, but it's not easy to do both because you have
The problem
to know
is-
how many cannons to apply to every situation. Okay, I can see him. I don't know that he's all the way down in E.
I don't know either. I definitely have it in D, but like for me,
But
he's definitely worse than
he's
the other guys
not
in D.
C. He's not C, right? Because like you really have to know how to use his cannons.
All right, so let's put him in D and decide later if he's lower.
Okay.
Okay.
Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Wow, we
Kerrigan.
finally hit a real frickin' Zerg.
Kerrigan. Immobilization wave clears mines.
Yes.
Before that, you have whatever you have. If you have P3 or P2, you can zap stuff. If you P2, your immobilization wave doesn't kill mines. But Omega Worm is a detector. That's great.
Really good.
And it stalls the drill for quite some time.
Yes.
You feed with Lings and Brute Lords maybe, and also Creep Tumors and Evolution Chambers. So
many options.
And
Hey.
worms.
and worms.
All right.
Hey.
How about you, Sticksbender?
And also, though the worm is a structure, so having a detector that is a structure is actually a good thing. So like that's also nice for Dehaka, but Dehaka had the cooldown concerns. The point is, mines can't hit structures. So if you just stick a worm in the middle of the minefield, the worm detects the whole minefield and doesn't get blown up by the minefield. So
Yes.
that's cool.
So
Yeah. She's not S. There are people who are definitely better than her, but she's comfortably A.
All right.
Kerrigan's good.
there we go. I also had her in A. Unanimous.